Okay, that stream is now live. So we'll just do the usual thing where we get everyone to jump in and, you know, let us know that they can hear us fine.
Alrighty.
So we don't start
I
and
just
go through 15 minutes of
I'm
awesome
starting.
content.
I'm starting to share on every platform. Creator. Right. We should be okay. Let's see.
Yeah, cool.
There are people waiting in the. Yeah, I can hear myself.
It's happened to me before when I've like done a stream and asked people to like let me know when they can hear me, and then I'll go. And then someone had jumped into the chat on this other occasion and said, "Yep," or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool, you can hear me. But then it turned out that person was just saying "yep" to something else. So I don't know. Have you got confirmation that everyone's good?
Yeah, so we should be fine because I could hear myself and also I could hear you. So
okay, cool.
Can just take a few minutes for everyone else to join.
Cool. I guess while we're doing that, let's talk about our current situations, locations. Right?
Yeah, so this is the first road trip AMA for both of us.
Completely.
No one.
Completely by chance too.
Yeah, it happened, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
Seeing us in the same situation. So.
Yeah. So
because
let's say where we are, right? So I'm in Tasmania. This is where I was born. So I'm down here with just bringing my daughter down to see my parents again.
Yeah, I was in Brasov a few hours ago. We took like the weekend off, but we decided to come home for this AMA, but ended up just staying at my parents-in-law and starting the streaming from here. So,
cool.
But I'm closer to home.
Right. Okay. Right. So yeah. Okay. So I'm at my parents' home, and you're at your parents-in-law's home.
Yeah.
Cool. There you go. So completely by chance. So yeah, a few little hiccups like getting everything installed on this remote PC and driver updates, and my 2-year-old daughter. I told her my 2-year-old daughter came and like said goodnight to me, and then like started pushing the buttons on my PC and shut it down.
She fixed it.
Yeah. The magic touch.
All right, guys.
Cool.
So I think we can start, right?
Yeah, let's go.
We're good to go. Thank you everyone for joining. We're here with the guy with the beautiful hair, meaning Garth, and me.
Yeah, lovely hair.
Community manager. I'm Razvan or zenCUNA, and we are ready to start this AMA, the latest one, the first road trip AMA, and the most interesting one so far, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're getting close to our game launch date, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So I have some questions gathered from the community, and I can see that the guys are already joining, and we are waiting for other questions. But in the meantime, maybe Garth can fill us with some updates.
Yeah, sure. All right. So look, I guess where do I start? Again, like I'm kind of like on travel to Tassie and look after my child all day, kind of like headspace. So like I haven't had sort of I don't have a script or anything to go through, so I'm just gonna wrap stuff off. So I'd like to do like a quick recap just in case there's some people who hadn't seen the previous AMA or whatever. So, but yeah, very short version. So yeah, as most people would know, hopefully we went through our original game dev sprint. We're getting close to getting our battles and breeding. So we had breeding done. We had cross-chain NFTs done. All the creature stuff done. We just finishing off the battle stuff. At which point we came up with an idea to do like a bit of an extension to the breeding, to do like a Pokemon Tamagotchi style kind of raising your creatures, so that you can actually so that owners could influence the creatures' progression and the kind of help to kind of create the creatures that they want, to give it a bit more sort of personality and engagement, etc. Anyway, so that led us down a couple of sprints, and then after doing a few sprints, like it was about 4 to 6 weeks of sprints on that, we were just like, man, this is the game. Like this is the coolest bit, and then battle and everything pretty fits into that, like to kind of change the headspace. So we developed a little bit more in that line, trying to pull everything into order with this new direction, and then we found that like the way we're building our sort of fundamental architecture for the game, the way it was before, just didn't work with this new village layer that was like very heavily like creature breeding, like village community interactions, like so people could, instead of like staking your creatures sort of offline a pavilion and then like having like a out of game, like a meta sort of breeding experience, all of that was happening in the game now, where you join a village and alliance and then you connect. So anyway, so our technology stack wasn't working for that, and we just end up like kind of almost like fighting more bugs in how our system was for this new thing, at which point it's kind of like having the wrong foundation for, you have a foundation for a house and then you change the house design. So yeah, we just end up having to sort of like, kind of not scrap that, but it's like, and not scrap it, not start again as such, but like just start with a new foundation and then bring all of the resources into this new foundation. So that's what we've been doing since. So yeah, and based on that, we spoke to the community. Raz put out a questionnaire or a poll on would people want to wait until the full village game is released, or would we want to start with a introduction version of that with the creature sale, creature breeding, and this pinball experience that we did, which is kind of related to some of the creature incubation design, which we can get into if we want to. And the community voted for that, so that's what we're pushing for now. So, but even though we're kind of launching let's say the cut back version, or the X, like the not including the village version, it still means we need to create all of that underlying infrastructure that we needed to be done in a different way. So yeah, I guess I'll kind of like save more of the detailed questions, because I'm sure you've got questions around dates and progress. But one thing I'll say is it's going really well. So the fact that we had that really solid game, that solid prototype, and we knew exactly what we're doing, it just meant that the team could go in and go like, it's like we're not kind of like, inventing an F1 car and try and design all the stuff and figure out how the aero is going to work. We know exactly how it's going to work now. So it's just a matter of going through and kind of like just, working on specific exact designs when we're with the other stuff we can pull into that. So yeah, the team is pumped, the team is hyped. It's going to coming together really well. Yeah, and it's going really well, and we're getting very close to the launch date for that. So maybe, I don't know, should I end there and then you go to the questions? Because I feel like your questions will fill in the gaps that I've left. Oh, and my daughter's coming up the stairs. Hello.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh.
It will fill the gap.
Yep.
But I think we definitely have some interesting questions, but not everyone is basically updated roadmap related. Oh, hi, Aria.
Hello. Say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, sweetie?
She can't hear you, unfortunately, because it's in my earphone.
What's the time there?
9:30 p.m.
All right, yeah, it's basically kind of the same time I'm actually trying to put Damien to sleep, and he doesn't want to. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to try to keep away from these power buttons and keyboard buttons now. All right, good night.
Hopefully we won't be we won't be forced to stop the AMA because of a press of a button.
Yeah. Yeah, mouse. Alright, you can come and get her. Yeah? Alright, I'm going to pick her up and take it to
6.
2 seconds.
Alright, no problem. Yep. Let's see. How are you guys doing in the chat? Bye.
What's she trying to do? What do you want?
A horse.
Horse? What horse? This? Okay. Alright.
Yeah. Does anyone else know how it is?
I can't.
You can't close it?
Okay. Alright, I think we're momentarily good. There might be, kids get out of bed, so don't be shocked if she comes back. Okay, sorry. We're road trippy. I don't have my usual sort of studio that's like separated, so.
Yeah, I completely know how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see if we have some questions in the chat. Alexius, could you explain like I'm 5? What Final Fantasy game metrics means?
Game mechanics. So the final
Game metrics.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, mechanics. Yeah, so the Final Fantasy game mechanics were like, for anyone who's played Final Fantasy, you go with like this RPG experience, and then when you sort of like randomly find enemies to battle, which is kind of where you got like XP, like level up, it goes into this battle mode. So that was kind of the starting point of our battle mode. That kind of like 3v3 kind of thing where you can do attacks or do defense or use spells or use potions and items. So that was that, but we kind of went a next level with that, where it was like more, a bit more like a chess game where you could like move your creatures around the environment instead of just being like 3-on-3 and like like set positions. You just like attack from there. You can move your creatures around. So there's like distance-based attack. So the closer you are, the heavier the attack, the further away, the more defense. And locations, so you can sort of like use the environment to your advantage and like throw boulders and spears and things like that. So yeah.
Right. Let's see. Alexius has a couple of questions. What are your plans to gain attention for the project in this competitive market surrounding?
Plans. I mean, I guess a whole multitude of plans. Like in this market, you can't just do one thing and hope that it works. So yeah, kind of doing all of the stuff. So reaching out through our networks, reaching out through our investors, our KOL, key opinion leader, influencer connections. Doing ads if we want to as well. Like we'll kind of look at doing some web ads on certain platforms. All of the stuff. Doing tournaments again as well, like just kind of having like this kind of natural gameplay. Having good gameplay is always a thing. You can always spend a whole lot of money to bring users, but ultimately, if you've got a good game and you're running tournaments and you're having, like good sticky mechanics that bring people in and keep them there and have them bring their friends. So like different sort of campaigns to entice people to bring their friends in and play together and win together. So all of those kinds of things.
Nice. Is Wonderman Attacks release in the roadmap with full battles?
So one thing, with the people are referring to the new roadmap.
Probably.
I hope. Yeah. Maybe can we give a link to that just in case people haven't seen that? Do you have that on hand?
1 second.
Or we can, or maybe you do that while I talk.
You can just post the updated roadmap into the YouTube link.
Yeah.
But as soon as I can find it.
Yeah, cool. So one thing I did with the new roadmap is, if you kind of look, I've got like these, I've got like the kind of the general kind of roadmap, like it's this thing and that thing and that thing, right, all in order. But I kind of put a few swirls around a couple of items because essentially we have to be a bit sort of organic and dynamic with this, because so like we might, like say we're going to be working on Wonderman Attacks very soon as well, and we'll be working on Battle at around the same time. So like when we do Wonderman Attacks, that seems like it's just kind of a small isolated mini game, but that also has the kind of whole, there's like two parts to it, right? We can kind of release it as a mini game where it's just like leaderboards and tournaments. But then we want to have the whole creature discovery where you go to planets and you bring new creatures back as well. So once we start developing those things, we'll kind of figure out, like we might change a few orders of things, but generally speaking, once we release this first version, we want to have like a sort of a 2 to 3 month release schedule so that it's kind of just a momentum build. So we may switch the order of some things around. But the general gist of that roadmap is that we want to sort of just release and then release and release and release.
Alrighty. Let's see. What were your considerations to make the roadmap relatively vague? I think it here says vague. Please tell me it was not due to Australian laissez-faire mentality.
Laissez-faire.
I don't really know how to pronounce it. So
Laissez-faire, like it's a French word for like casual. What was the first part of that question? Sorry, like why is
what
the
were your?
Yeah.
I think why is the roadmap relatively vague? But here it says vague. So
Okay, yeah, okay. So I think I just kind of answered that in the previous question. So the reason why we don't have specific dates, and those, as I said, I kind of like on purpose put sort of swirls around a couple of items because the order of those things may change. So the general gist of the roadmap is that we want to like just keep this in mind. If nothing else, like take this away. Once we release the first version of the game, we want to stick to like we haven't sort of decided like because like once you release a version of the game, we don't just sort of like stop there and I mean all of the development for all of the things overlaps. It's not just like a linear thing anyway. So we have like lots of development all happening at one time. That's the first thing. But then also once we release a thing, it's not like we just linearly go from this thing to that thing to that thing. We're already working on a number of things at once. But then as we release the once they say this thing, we don't just stop on that and continue with other ones. Like that thing will also have like we send it to the community, so they'll be playing it, so we'll be getting feedback. So we'll actually be working on that thing, like that thing that we just released. Even though it feels like that's more done, it actually will have sort of a requirement for the most amount of work following release, because people will give feedback, or they might have some bugs on some specific hardware or software, and a lot of times people submit bugs, but it's actually their own fault because like they have like an out-of-date driver or some sort of like Windows issue or whatever, right? So there's a lot of like you kind of release a thing and then you just like firefight and quickly you kind of like want to fight the fires of bugs and crashes. Then you want to like address the community feedback and do that cool stuff because there will be great feedback that comes through, right? So that's kind of why things are like quote unquote vague, is because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So if we were to say like rock solid on this date and then rock solid on this date and this date, that's definitely going to happen, then you can rock solid guarantee that that's not going to happen, right? Like unless you've already done, like if you're a massive publisher and you've got billions of dollars and you can have 100 200 people making a game and you've actually got all of that stuff finished, focus group tested, you've run it through thousands of people, you're 100% sure that this is your game and you won't change it, and everything's done, then you can guarantee a launch date. Does that make sense? Like, but when you're a small independent team working with this stuff, like you've got to be flexible. So yeah, so once we release the first version, we're going to be working on that version to do those fixes. But then also depending on what happens through that feedback process and how the other developments go, we may switch the priority of those things. Like we might go, you know what, we thought we were going to release this one, but actually this one ties in really well with what the community are loving. Let's say we release the first version and people are loving the leaderboards and the pinball, and we think, you know what, actually Wonderman Attacks, the like arcade mode version of that, is going to slip into this thing, this kind of vibe that's already happening. We want to ride with that, so we might sort of prioritize that over the other thing. So that's it. You could almost think about it like you go and see, there's like two kind of live bands that you might go and see, right? There's a live band who's like, no, we've got a set list and we're playing that like no matter what, right? But the audience aren't digging it. Like each time you go and play in front of a live audience, the vibe of the crowd, the people that are there, the weather, the whatever, will change the way people react. Whereas a great band, a really professional band, we go, you know what, we're just going to go out and we're going to vibe with the audience. Like we're going to find out what they want to play. We're going to like respond to that. We're going to react. So that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah. So it's not laissez-faire. It's flexible and responsive.
Okay.
That's a very detailed answer to a small question, maybe, but
Yeah.
I want to be clear.
It's great, because it really is amazing how much details are you providing, and I think the community is happy about that.
Okay.
So we have a few technical questions. So how do we? Tonga asked us, how do I withdraw stablecoin from Pavilion?
Short answer, you can't.
How do I withdraw GoT token to USDT? I think was meant to convert
Yeah,
GoT
yeah,
to
yeah.
USDT.
Yeah, no, but essentially, yeah. So the short answer to that is you can't. So it's a one-way bridge. It's kind of much the same as like you go into Steam, you buy Steam credits, or you get a credit, like a Steam credit card voucher thing.
And
You can't go to the bank and cash
these
that in.
answers are also available on the Pavilion website. So
Yeah.
just a little bit of thoroughly search will give you these answers.
Yeah. So and if you're in Pavilion, go to the help page. So yeah, go to the help bottom thing, and it'll explain all of that.
Any date on when we can finally utilize the Wonder from pre-sale? Price has fallen a lot since pre-sale. I utilize meaning I think in game.
Yeah, use.
Maybe?
Yeah. I'd assume. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that comes back to what I was saying before about like someone's going to ask the question about like release date. So that's essentially when can I utilize it? Could be not the game release. It could be something else. But for us, it's going to be the game release. So yeah, okay. So in terms of the game release date, so the first opportunity you will get to use the tokens will be buying the creatures. And buying the creatures will be when the game's available. So those two things will coincide. And as I just explained to Raz at the start of this call before we went live, with the rebuilding of that tech stack for the new version of the new imagination of the Wonderman Nation ecosystem, the current game team are saying that they reckon they're going to be ready in a few weeks. So we're very, very close. But that said, the caveat there is always like we're going to have the code done, and we're pretty comfortable with that. We're not expecting any major dramas, but we might find something else. Like it could be two things, right? We could be finding that there's something that we've done that we need to redo. It's not quite working quite right, or good old fashioned creative director of like I've done this before, like there's a bit of feature creep, so we go, we've got all this stuff and that's all great, that's kind of what we wanted to release, but if we just add this thing, it's going to be a million times better. So so once we get there, we'll kind of have a better idea of a date. So yeah, the point being, so we're very close. I think I should be able to give a date by around the end of this month.
Okay. Yeah. But not entirely 100% sure.
Yeah, well, I hate to give a date when, like, if I give a date, I want it to be guaranteed, because if you say, like, 1st of May or 31st of May or whatever it is, and it's the day after, then you're late, right? Like, let's make sure
But we already narrowed it down to this quarter, so I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any plan to bridge the game?
Sorry, let me just add to that. Like, I desperately want it to be released this quarter, and I can't currently see any reason why it can't be this quarter. So, like, natural disaster.
Right. So, someone said into the group that he thinks it will actually be better for us to release it after the halving. Mm-hmm. So probably this will happen.
Yeah, what's the date for that? I don't know. Because the Bitcoin halving?
29th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
29th, I think.
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah.
Any plan to bridge the game to Solana?
Yes and no. So it's not on our current roadmap. But so we have bridged the NFTs and tokens to Ethereum and BSC already. And yeah, it's something we haven't talked about. I've told you a little bit about this, Raz, but we haven't announced this publicly. But So yeah, maybe I'll hold off on this announcement a little bit longer. But essentially, the way we're building Pavilion Hub is that we're kind of making that be more of like a hub of chains as well. So the idea being, I'm kind of being vague on this one because I don't want to say too much until like it's ready to go. But the idea there being that it's a plug and play thing that can bridge to other chains like very easily without without much work, like without changing the way Pavilion Hub works. It kind of works under the hood just to plug into this other stuff. So that's been another big part of our development, so that once we launch this game, we can bridge really easily. So Solana's not in our current scope of works, but the work that we are doing will facilitate work like that. So
okay. When does the marketing starts?
That's a great question. There's kind of two schools of thought there. My first school, like my preference in this, is that we launch the game like we promised, even like from the start. We launched the game to our first in users, like our backers and supporters, our early supporters. So it becomes like you can almost call it like a soft launch in a way, right? Where we get our first users in, they're interacting with the game. We make sure we're solid and everything's great. Because the last thing you want to do is, like, there's a cost of that user acquisition cost, right? So last thing you want to do is have a user acquisition cost through lots of marketing, and then people come in really early and have a bad experience for some reason. Like, it can be really dumb things. Like a really simple bug sometimes might just turn someone off because their buttons don't work. And it's a really simple bug. So ideally, we've kind of like used our kind of like beta time really well, so that we know that there's no silly bugs in there that's going to give someone a bad experience. So yeah, my preference is kind of launch the game to our early backers, which is what we said right from the start anyway. Run that for like the indeterminate period of time, like whether it's a couple of weeks, and we see that everyone's having a great time, there are no issues, like the game is 100%, the bugs are like 0%. Cool, we go hard on marketing. Or it's a month or two later.
All right. Thank you. Will you deploy token in Phantasma?
Yes.
When can we expect the release of version 1? Oh, we already discussed about this.
I touched on it.
Is the team big enough to actively work on bug support, etc., and developing at the same time?
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I was saying before as well. Like we can do both, but like it kind of depends. Like yes, like we wouldn't ever be all on bug fixing, and not development. But yeah, the greater the bugs, like we're not 100 people, right? Like the greater the bugs, like we might be sort of 50-50. 50% on development, 50% on bug fixing, if we have a lot of bugs.
What are the current plans for the first NFT holders? Well, I am actively answering this question into the group.
All the time.
But
do you want to answer this question?
What are the current plans for the first NFT holders? The first, I mean, this would be like being able to play the first version of the game and test with us.
Yep.
That would be something. I mean, I think he's referring to the first K NFT, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a token of appreciation.
Yeah.
From us, for you being one of the first community members, and this way you will have early access.
I'll maybe expand on that a little bit. Like, I always call it a token of respect as well too. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, again, I'll speak about music. We're both musicians, right? So I think maybe we both can relate to this. I find it really cool when I follow a new artist, and I'm like one of the first 1,000 people to subscribe to them on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. I'm like, wow, this is an awesome artist. I'm like really early in. It's like, I think that's really cool. Like, so anyone who kind of discovered us within the first 1,000, it's a token of appreciation, but a token of respect. Like, well done. Like, you can, if we, and hopefully we do, we go awesomely massive in future. Like, it's kind of bragging rights, you know. It's cool. In terms of things that those NFT holders will get as well, so they'll get first access to the like Gen 1 creatures. And when I say first access, they might be the only. They might. I'll put a caveat there, but our current plan is for them to be the only Gen 1 creatures, like the only purebred creatures. Yeah, so like there's like a genetic history with the creatures. We maybe can release some of the NFT because we've done test minting and put them on OpenSea and put them on different chains, right? So we can sort of share some of those initial test creatures. So yeah, so if those first holders actually are the only sort of Gen 1 purebred creature owners, like that's pretty awesome already. They'll be getting creatures at a discount as well. So like one thing that people do in this industry is they do, and we're kind of initially thinking to do this because that's what everyone else does, but like then we looked at it more like, oh wait a second, it doesn't fit our philosophy at all. And that is to do a token sale to one group of holders, and then projects often do like an NFT sale to like another group of people, and then you have like these two disparate, conflicting groups who have paid different money for different things, and it's like this just doesn't seem right. It's like this is not our ethos at all. So instead of doing that, because people often do that to kind of like raise some money for development and then raise some more money from some other people for development. So we didn't do that. So what we're doing instead is releasing those creatures to the people who have bought the token, because that's what they bought. They bought a token to buy stuff in game. We sold them a utility token. Great. So let them use that token to buy those creatures, and then they can take that to buy, trade, and sell. Right, like it's that's their victory, right? So yeah, so they'll get the first Gen 1 creatures. They might be the only purebred creatures that exist. Like full stop. That's our current plan. I hope we don't have to change that. And yeah, so we talked about the alliances a bit before in the previous AMA. But the way we're doing the village now is that there's like an alliance. So instead of you kind of like finding community outside and connecting another platform and then just seeing each other in battle, you actually connect like each player will have a plot of land or a plot of land, and then you can connect them together almost like a social network in a way. And then when you connect your plots of land, you can you and your creatures can travel between these plots of land. So the village won't be available yet, but we'll be giving away plots of land. So you'll be getting first access to the creatures. If you buy creatures, you'll be getting a free lot of land. And these aren't like sandbox style things where they're just like it's one sheet and you buy a lot that's kind of like demarcated specifically. Like you can, again, it's more like social media where you have your own lot of land and you can connect that however you like to other people. Right. So anyway, so yes, you get like
you'll make your own neighbors.
Yeah, you make your own neighbors. Exactly. Like that's important. And we can talk about that in a future AMA, the design for that and the reasons, because we hash that out a lot in the studio. And it's like there's pros and cons to both. But for me, the pros of this far outweigh the cons. Yeah. So point being, you get the cheaper creatures, Gen 1 creatures, free lot of land that you can connect later on. So as opposed to having to buy that separately later, so you get that for free. There's other items that we have, like a chieftain totem. So that's the way you kind of like your village has like a leadership thing for voting, which kind of goes into some of the DAO aspect of these alliances later on. So we'll be kind of like giving away free NFTs that you can use for that. So there'll be a few benefits.
Yep.
Okay.
And so EJ asked, so will they be airdropped, the Gen 1 purebred creatures? Will they be airdropped to under NFT holders, or we need to buy them? So you will need to buy them with Wonder if you want.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you can do whatever you want with them, like trade them, resell them.
Yeah, because that's the point of the Wonder token, right? So yeah, but I mean, maybe I'll kind of answer their point in a different way too. Like you won't need to buy them with USDT or something as a separate thing. Like yeah, we sold these Wonder tokens to use in Wonderman Nation, and you can use these Wonder tokens to buy Wonderman creatures. And we'll be releasing them again. I'll specify at like a discount to what you would expect.
But will there be any airdrops or not airdrops, maybe contests where people can receive any creatures like being airdropped, but within a contest or something. Can we make this?
Possibly. I mean, I already talked about how we'll give away, like, let's say, like bonus packs. So instead of just buying, like, I mean, yeah, first off, you're buying a creature app. You've got like first access to buy a creature, right? So we'll kind of almost phrase this kind of like in a different way. Like, instead of us kind of owning and operating, controlling those Gen 1 creatures and saying, okay, we control the price and we can sell them anywhere and we can make whatever money off them, we basically just give them out and we decentralize it. Like, okay, these go like, for cheap for you guys, and then you guys can control that. Which, I mean,
oh, okay,
there's risk to that, obviously. Like, it's kind of like we want you guys to play nice as well. Like use these creatures, don't overcharge for them, right? Like, I mean, the people will do that, I guess, right? But like, again, like, we promised the one token that you can utilize with these in-game tokens and these in-game items, and ultimately, like, that's what decentralization is in a way, right? Like, you can do with those creatures what you like. But we want people to play with them. That's the point of these tokens, and that's the point of the creatures. And then we'll be giving away these lots of land that people would otherwise pay for. So that's a good bonus if you buy. If you buy this, you get that and other items. So you could consider the lot of an airdrop if you participate in the creature sale. You can consider the cheapened totems an airdrop if you participate in that. And yeah, look, and to your point, like, we might have a comp or something where I don't like the idea of giving away creatures in a competition, because like we're allocating the creatures for people who got in early. So like,
yeah,
we already have the system there for that. Like, maybe things like competitions to like, airdrop food NFTs for use with breeding and stuff like that. Like, yes, maybe that. Yeah, but not something critical like the creatures. Like, we already have a purpose for those. Yeah.
alrighty. Let's see. So how will you compare Wonderman with this competition and the time of releasing? Do you think the game will keep the players attached between releases?
Yeah, I mean, we hope so. Yeah. The thing is,
I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty catchy, to be
Yeah.
honest. I got to try it, and I hope everyone would feel the same.
Yes, yeah. It is catchy. It's kind of weird. It's like, we didn't expect the village to be as good as it was. Like, we knew it was a good idea, and we had to look at it. Well, I mean, we didn't start with the village. We started with what we called the creche was the initial word for it. So it's just meant to be like a little creche thing, and that just kind of, it just, like, the more we did that, it just expanded because it was fun, and it just became this thing that's massively fun. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, actually, Raz, but like, the thing that I find funny is, like, we'd have these team meetings. Usually we'll kind of like work, through the week, and then Friday 5 or 6 p.m. we would have a couple of drinks and would like sit and play the build that we just worked on that week. And the idea is, like, we just meant to sort of talk through it, talk about what happened, was that successful, what's the next task. It's meant to take like half an hour to an hour, and then we go home and see our families or go out or whatever we do, right? But then we'd end up sitting there like watching Wonderman Nation, in a way, like watching the creature in the villages. Like, it's just fun to watch. We like watch them and we'll kind of make up stories and laugh about stuff that's going on. It's almost like a TV show. It's almost like a sitcom in a way. It's kind of weird. So that it's almost, in some ways, it's a shame that won't be the first thing that people see. But I think the fact that that's going to be like ideally the second thing that people see, and the first bit's going to be good. And I think if people know, okay, like, that's good, and this thing is like the even cooler bit that connects all that together, I think people will hang around.
Yeah. They can also experience this by watching our Twitter videos, because we're posting a few stuff right there.
Mhm.
And I that's what I was about to say. I'm finding myself getting lost in watching them, because they are so interesting. And I see like a spider flying from time to time, or a bunny, or it really is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
So we finished with.
Oh, can I just riff on that? It's funny because like the creatures chase each other around. Like creatures come in and they want to like play with each other, but like you have one creature wants to play with one. I don't know if you can hear my daughter in the background, by the way. Anyway, yeah, you got one creature who's like it's like kids. You got one creature's running away, another creature wants to play with it, and it kind of hassles it, and then that creature kicks the other creature, and they like go flying. It's just funny to watch those like, and those relationships matter. Like when those creatures annoy each other, like that gets written into their like creature history. Like it's like an evolving. Yeah, it's kind of like The Sims. It's kind of like The Sims in a way.
We finished with the live questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I have some others that I gather from the community that I would like to ask. These are, they thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, will there be any marketing exposure on kids' YouTube? That's
a tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. To be honest, I actually don't even know how to answer that one. Like because I haven't. I don't know. I guess
we're thinking about releasing this to the kids.
Well,
We've talked
about it a lot. Yes, we have. We've talked about like, is this a thing that we release to kids, and then that kind of leads down the path of like, well, would we make a sort of second version of this that kind of linked together, but just to kind of like really keep the crypto part separate? Because I think that's the part where like I'd need to look at YouTube or how YouTube feel about that. But again, like we're not doing anything that other games don't do. Like, you know, I would argue that we're kind of doing better than Fortnite, you know, like in terms of, you know, kids in Fortnite. I'm not bagging Fortnite or anything, but like kids in Fortnite to sort of like get sold new skins that they just give money and they can't resell them. You know, at least in our game, like it's the same thing. You buying creatures or you buying food to breed your creatures or whatever, but you can sell that creature if you want as well. Like so. Yeah, so I'd have to look into the sort of YouTube legals around that. I would, yeah. That's a tough question. I would like to. We'll come back to it. Yeah, I wouldn't think. I mean, the sort of like come back there is I wouldn't want to do it and just go straight into it, and then have YouTube like ban any stream of our game on YouTube. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts, Dad? For us?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have any other thoughts? Like anything else you'd add to that?
I was just thinking, you know, we are considering releasing this to or not releasing, but making a kids version where they can enjoy, but without the blockchain version. And it can definitely be fun for them, but I wouldn't see like a point for us to promote this to kids. I think this has to grow organically, and if it gathers as much as success as the other kids' games, we can do like fun stuff like tournaments or stuff like that. But I'm not sure. I'm not seeing like a lot of marketing doing around kids' version of games. I think, we will have to dive deeper into this when the time comes to see if we would do any kind of marketing exposure. But that was a really good question,
I mean, okay, maybe.
I think
sorry,
it was asked back when we had the thought about releasing a kids version.
Yeah, because as soon as we got into the village, like I wasn't thinking about with the battles, like it didn't really cross my mind previously, but as soon as we had the village and that sort of new Tamagotchi style breeding, you see that and you're like, oh man, like kids, and I mean, and we've seen like ourselves, small focus groups, but we've seen ourselves, kids just really flock to this. So yeah, maybe my second kind of like comment here would be, I don't see us initially targeting like hard targeting kids and saying, okay, let's like put ads in this time slot where the kids this age group are watching. But I think kids that age group would probably find it like, yeah, to your point about being organic. You know, kids share stuff at school. Yeah. And things tend to kind of go down as well, like down in age groups. So, you know, like 12-year-old kids want to do what 14-year-old kids are doing, and 10-year-old kids want to do what 12-year-old kids are doing. So it does kind of naturally, because it's cool. Like it's cool what older kids are doing. So yeah, that will be a natural thing regardless.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll also have something. I think it's related, but you know, will Wonderman Nation come out with its own physical handheld device like a Nintendo or Sega? That would be awesome.
Yeah. Never say never. Yeah, I mean, I mean,
we could.
Yeah, I mean, you say like Sega or whatever, but like Nintendo, but like I mean, we have talked about how cool it would be to like use smart watches, etc., or even just your phone for trading. Like bring up your NFT on your phone and then do a link and just like trade. Because we went into sort of as soon as I started having the village, we started thinking this has got a Pokemon, Tamagotchi, Animal Farm, and Sims kind of vibe. But like if you think about Pokemon, it's like, well, people like kids in the playground trade cards. So how can we do that in a next gen way? And just like having phones be able to trade across from each other, or smartwatches, etc. Makes total sense. So we're thinking that avenue. But then with the Tamagotchi thing, like Tamagotchis are their own little handheld device, and they're not expensive. Like we could totally.
If we were to do.
A
bigger. Yeah, it will involve. It's involving a lot of another type of costs.
Yeah.
Rather than building a Tamagotchi which is like a couple of dollars to make, I think.
Yeah. So I'd say yes. Like So okay, the short version of that answer is like yes, we like it. Trading between smart devices, we are already thinking about that. If we did a handheld thing, it'd be like a little Tamagotchi style thing, most likely. So my daughter's going crazy in the background. Hopefully that's not too distracting.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up sooner.
Yeah, that's all right. No, that's okay.
We only have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't mind. Just hope the audience don't mind too much.
We have a.
Yeah, I was going to say something else to that. Smart sort of device trading, Tamagotchi style thing. I had another thing in mind. I think it's gone now. I'll mention if it comes back to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let you can stop me if it comes back. Wanted to ask you about how will you incorporate Phantasma's smart NFT in the game, and if we have any plans on having Wander on Phantasma, but that's already on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, but the Phantasma smart NFTs, will they be incorporated in the game?
Smart NFTs are not sort of like a core component of this game. Like people want us to use that kind of technology in certain ways, but like I've always kind of said like we need these things
Your
to be able to.
Your video froze, by the way.
Oh, okay. Still? No? Is it back? Can you see me?
But I can still hear you, so
okay.
We're okay.
So we need the core functionality of the NFTs to be transferable across chains, which isn't to say we can't have some smart NFT features that are less core gameplay specific. So and the game will definitely be on Phantasma Chain. Like that's just a given. Yeah.
Does the game also have referral features?
Not specifically. Like the alliances are kind of a different way of looking at referral features. Like alliances are a way for people to sort of benefit from connecting with each other as a community, which is more like, again, the social media system. Like that's kind of how Facebook, etc. grew. Yeah.
What kind of qualities should the player have in the game in order to be successful?
That's a great question. there's not one thing. So one thing we're trying to do is make it sort of very ecosystem. So again, with the alliances and the breeding stuff, there could be someone who likes to collect creatures and just likes to kind of just collect them and own them. And then someone else could be like a breeder. So if they join together in an alliance, there's someone who's like, you know, putting in the capital to buy lots of creatures, and then someone else could be like taking care of the creatures. So there could be like just someone who wants to just sort of collect and trade. There could be someone else who wants to like care and maintain. And then there could be someone else who wants to battle and strategy. And then there could be other people who are like just arcade players who do the arcade experiences, like the pinballs and attacks. So what kind of qualities? Diverse. Yeah, I think people who like, I guess, in terms of like personality qualities, that's probably a good one to answer. Like Wonderman Nation is a specific kind of like fun, funny, ridiculous kind of, you know, fun vibe. So yeah, like people who are hardcore shoot 'em up fans may not find this to be too
fit.
Yeah, they might not find this to be to their choosing, but in a lot of ways it's a bit more casual play. Like again, like with the battles are a bit more like short time frame strategy, but the village and the breeding are more sort of casual play. So
yeah, I think when it comes to the battles, you should create a strategy. I'm finding very hard to win when I'm playing versus a computer. So I think this is where the focus should be, because other than that, everything is made to be fun. So just have fun. That's the best quality you need. Okay, so why staking is available in Q4 and not a bit earlier, according to the updated roadmap?
So I kind of covered this a little bit before. So staking is done differently. So previously in our earlier design, you'd stake a creature for it to be used in the live marketplace, or you could stake it for breeding, like community breeding, if you didn't want to breed but you wanted your creature to be bred with and get rewarded. So whereas that design has changed. Like the village really changed that. So now that's going to be an alliance feature. So the versions of staking that are more gameplay specific, they will be launching earlier, but as a part of the other gameplay. So in terms of the staking, and that's the kind of core gameplay that we want to focus on. So in terms of the other staking, which is like just getting nectar rewards for not playing, not participating, but just for staking Wonder, we'll allow that, but that's kind of a later priority for us versus getting people into the game and making the game fun. Because like staking Wonder for nectar when there's not great gameplay and utility for Wonder and nectar is not going to make any sense anyway. So people are going to want that gameplay to be there before that other staking exists. So that's why the later release.
All right. What will be the price of first creatures be, and how many we will be able to buy?
They will be. I'm going to set a specific price yet. We're still kind of working on our final prices for those. But let's just put it this way: anyone that participated in those early rounds will get a creature. Let's say that at least.
Okay.
Because I think earlier on it was like at least sort of 9 months ago or so, someone brought up a point like based on the cost of other creatures, like other characters in other games like Axe City, etc., with the amount of money that they pledged in that cohort 2 or 3, they wouldn't be able to buy a creature. So that's like they're kind of saying with the amount of money we have, we won't even be able to buy a creature based on their expectation of the price. But I'm telling you straight up, like anyone who participated in those rounds will be able to buy a creature. Like we're not going to price people out. Like,
okay, but will they be able to buy more than one?
That's to be decided. So I won't touch that directly. I mean, look, one thing I'll say about that is like, one thing I'll say that's kind of important to note is that firstly, some of those people didn't sort of like we made the cost to participate really low to buy these tokens. And there's also a really good benefit in if people get one creature and one creature for like not so much money, so it's quite a sort of a discounted price. If they get one, and that kind of means that they form alliances more so because you need to form an alliance to breed with each other. So that kind of helps to grow the community. So it's kind of a strategic decision as well to say, okay, like let's make sure that we incentivize people to create these alliances so that they do start creating these communities and working together and playing together. Make sense?
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the first creatures released special in some ways?
Yes.
Can we breed immediately and create new creatures?
Yes.
Is there a limit?
I can elaborate on that some more later. But you can continue.
If you want, you just have to stop me. You know, I wouldn't give too much information, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of that's why we are releasing the breeding, just to be able to be done immediately.
Okay, I'll add a little more. Again, think about reality. Like when you go to a pet store and you see, purebred dogs or cats versus like breeds that are like mixed genealogy, right? It's kind of similar with us. Like if you have the purebreds, then they're special in some way. It's not like they won't be more powerful or something. They'll just be different. But they're also kind of the main point is they hold the pure genetic DNA. So they kind of that's more like a breeding. It's more like a breeding advantage is not the right word, but it's like you have more flexibility. If you've got the purebreds, then you can also breed purebreds together to maintain that lineage, which means that if you have that, you've got you've got like more control. If someone comes into the marketplace later on and buys a mixed breed, and buys other mixed breeds and breeds them together, like you're not going to be in as much control around what you get. So that's the power of that. Yeah.
Is there a limit / downside to excessive breeding?
No.
Never seen anyone complain about
Oh,
excessive breeding.
well, I mean, ecosystem-wise, like there could be a thing like this is what like where other games like Axie Infinity limit the amount of breeds per character, because there is a thing where you don't want you don't want there to be a massive glut in the market and there to be sort of like too many creatures. You want to have like a really good balance between the number of creatures and the number of players. And you want that to be maintained, so there's like never too few, and there's never way too few or like way too many. So yeah, for you personally as a player, the answer is no. For us collectively as a game ecosystem, as a community, the answer is like yes. But that's kind of our job to maintain that, like as opposed to telling people to stop.
Yeah. Will there be any rarity levels with creatures similar to mythical Axies?
Not really. Not really. It's kind of no. Like no is a simple answer to that. Like again, it's more organic. So think about horse racing maybe, right? So you might have a specific horse that races and it's just an absolute gun of a horse. At which point the trainers of those horses, like the parents or the siblings of those horses, may gain more value because like that particular creature has ended up being really good. But that's not us like determining like, hey, this is the thing that we're going to say is better and we're just going to boost its stats and you'll pay us more. It's more decentralized. It's more organic. Like it can evolve. Like, and in a lot of ways, we can sort of put our assumptions on how that's going to come out. Like we think that these few breeds in this way that have been sort of like raised in a certain way may come out better, but people will come out with their own strategies. So it's our job to kind of make those great foundational kind of blocks for the breeding and the battle design. And some of that stuff will emerge if we kind of do our job right. Then that stuff will emerge, and we won't know. So it's up to the community to sort of like test and like Darwinian. It's going to be Darwinian. Yeah.
I already imagine, people promoting their creatures. You look at this one.
Yeah.
He's winning every battle.
And we have all those stats, like how many battles entered, how many victories, how many hit points taken. But like, I mean, that also kind of plays a part, not just the creature, it's the player as well. So there could be some hidden gems. Like you could totally imagine someone who's not a good player who thinks that they've got a bad creature, and they just blame the creature because they can't look at what they're doing. And somebody else might come in and see that and go, you know what, like a great jockey or a great trainer knows a great horse, right? They might look at that and go, you know what, like I see potential in that creature. I'm going to take that and do something amazing with it. So organic.
Can you go into the details about how loaning creatures to other players work?
Yes, so I've touched on that a couple of times already. Previously, it was like a meta kind of thing where you'd stake it outside the game, whereas now it's this alliance thing. So like theoretically, loaning is gone. You don't loan. Oh, actually, there's the live marketplace, and then there's loaning for breeding. So I assume that they meant the breeding. I'll speak about both of them. They fall under alliances now. So the first part falls under alliances. So when you form an alliance, technically, when you're within an alliance, anyone can breed with your creature because you're aligned. So you don't loan your creature and like allow it to be bred with. They can be bred with. But if somebody else breeds, this is an important point. If somebody else breeds with your creature, like creatures will have like breeding limits. They'll kind of like breed out. But if someone else breeds with your creature, you and your creature don't lose a breeding slot. Like the person who does the breeding does, right? So in terms of the live marketplace stuff, so when you stake a creature so that anyone can use it, so that you get a reward if it's used in battle and there are rewards from the battle, that would just be like a UI thing where you select a creature and you stake it for battle. So that's pretty simple.
Okay. What's the parity of the percentage of rewards? So let's say if you stake a creature, do you receive like a percentage of the winnings, or is it something random?
Yes, percentage of the winnings. Yep.
Okay. 3 more questions.
All right.
So will Wonderman have its own marketplace, or do you want to utilize Phantasma's Ghost Market?
Well, it's decentralized. So once we release these creatures, we mentioned before about Pavilion Hub being like a bridge. So once these creatures are released, we aim to have our own marketplace. But yeah, we like decentralized, like made the best tool, feature, product, platform win. People can take them to Ghost Market if they want. People can take them to OpenSea, all the rest.
And that's a really nice question. So have you ever, I think it's related to what we were discussing earlier about trading.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about marketing Wonderman to the real world? Think about trading cards containing NFT codes that could be reward potions with whatever the creatures will have to use. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I don't know. Yes, I mean,
in a perfect world.
Yeah, it's cool. No, it's a great question.
We would do everything.
Yeah, we have thought about that with other games that we've done. We haven't sort of discussed it as part of the Wonderman strategy yet, but it's a really good idea. I would probably riff on that slightly and say, look, one of the real world ideas that we've had a lot and we really, 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 really like. Please, no one steal this idea. I'm going to say this now. Is we really like the idea of, I mean, you look at the creatures and just imagine this, right? Especially when you've bred a few. So maybe for Raz, this will make more sense to you. But once you've bred a few, you can imagine the creatures have all interchangeable parts. So we really like the idea of having like plush toys that have like buttons or Velcro. We've kind of landed on buttons as being what we think. We can buy like bodies and body parts and build your own creature. So you kind of like go into a toy store and like buy all the bits to recreate your exact creature that you have. That's like your favorite. So we really like the idea of that. And then we like the idea of also having like a lucky dip kind of version where you kind of like buy like a hidden bag of stuff and you just get what you get and you can build something out of it. So that's something that we've talked about a lot in the studio and that we really like. So that's something that's actually on the roadmap when I talk about like, like right at the end where I talk about like the other stuff. I haven't specified on the roadmap, but that's what that is. Basically, it's like it's that stuff, not just that, but it's that stuff. So to the person who asked that question, like that's where that fits in. We may do it sooner.
That's beyond.
That's the beyond, but like because we are excited about that kind of stuff. So yes, we weren't thinking about like cards specifically, other than we did compare ourselves to like Pokemon trading cards. So we had been thinking about that, but in terms of real world, thinking more on the plush toy stuff. But yeah, like that would fit into that system. And again, like you could have, and like you'd have like codes inside those plush toys that like refer back to the game as well. So if you buy a toy and you put it together, then you get that creature or something like that. Again, that would kind of like in some ways break the breeding arc. So that might be anyway. That's to be decided. But yes, that's super cool. It could even just be that's a different game. Like because we're talking about like having lots of different games that fit in the same ecosystem. So maybe they're not specifically NFT creatures, but they're creatures that can be activated within the world as non-NFTs. That would fit better. Yeah.
We could. Yeah, I already have a name for this, but I will tell you in private.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the last one. How long do you anticipate the beta period lasting?
Yeah. That's a good question. Anticipation, like developers will always anticipate less, and because you think what you have is really good. Or ideally, you think what you have is really good. In our case, I think what we have is really good. I can say that now, like after playing the Village, and I love it. But I mean, we'll see. Yeah. Ideally, let's talk about that. Ideally, it's like 2 to 3 months. Like 1 month is too short. You're not going to get a good beta period in 1 month at all. But 2 to 3 months would be our target.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Plenty of time for you guys to play.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll sort of expand on that. Like it's like in some cases there are games that are in early access kind of beta for like I think PUBG was technically in beta for like I don't know what was it like 4 or 5 years or something. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a long time, but it could be like 6 months or something like that as well. But our target is 2 to 3.
But 1 second, because I actually have a follow-up question here. So, okay, the beta period, we are not referring to just a few people, the first NFT holders will be able to play the beta period, the beta. So it will be available for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
To test it.
That's a good point. So it's more like a soft launch. It's more like a beta is more like a soft launch, early access. Yeah.
But how much time will the early access be? Like just for the first K NFT holders and some other active members of the community, because they will basically have early access, right? How long do you think this will gonna be in this time frame, in this short gathering launch?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so again, we're not really having like a closed. So we're not really having like a closed beta period. The current plan is to not have a closed beta period. We're pretty confident that we can go into like a more like an early access to the first in people, to the supporters.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like it might actually, let's say it's great, and I don't know. I wouldn't expect some sort of like critical mass. If let's say it goes really well and meets or beats our expectations, it could happen earlier than you think. You never know. I would be surprised if it happened before the Village release. I think if it was going to happen, it would happen around then. But to that point, we want to be sort of trying to keep it sort of like more like low key soft launch, small to start. But if it goes massive, it would be out of our hands. In that sort of PUBG
Alright.
in that PUBG example, it could be like that.
And we also have another question on YouTube. Are you planning first person and RPG games for Wonderman game?
That's a great question. I almost wonder where that came from someone on our team, but I'm sure it didn't. But like, because that's something we've discussed. It's funny. Are you planning? I don't know. Let's just say nothing is off the table.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good ending answer.
I'll maybe clarify. Like those things are not on our immediate roadmap, but they've been discussed. There's one of them in particular that we think is really cool, and we started to kind of like. We just did a little bit of work on it just to say, hey, just tickle that itch. Is that a thing? And the early experience of that was like, oh, that could be really, really, really cool. So we kind of left that though. We're like, okay, cool. We'll come back to that later on.
Alrighty. Sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Guys, thank you so much for joining and for watching and for asking all of these interesting questions.
Mm.
This is where our road trip live AMA ends. And we are hopefully, I think we can do another one in about 1 month.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe with some, and we probably find more about the launch date.
Yeah.
And the marketing plans and I mean, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them into the Telegram group. I will gather them and that's.
Can we just comment quickly on this like Mortal Kombat, Wonderman, like that is so cool and so funny, and that is a thing that we've discussed. I just have to say, like, we've talked a bit about Mortal Kombat and like how Wonderman could riff on that because it is just funny. You can just imagine it. Like so. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Ro, I guess. But yeah.
Ro, I think, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yes, good point. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining our road trip. Apologies for some of the little mishaps. Oh, there's my mum. Hi, mum. Mishaps along the way. But yeah, we got there in the end. So I appreciate everyone for joining us on our cross-continental road trip. Yeah.
See you next time, and thank you, Garth, also for joining and taking the time. It's important for you to be praised because it's what is the time there? 10:30 p.m.
Yeah, 10:35 p.m.
It's Sunday.
Yep.
It's Sunday and 10:35, and Garth just joined to provide us some updates. So it's we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Appreciate everyone being here and sticking with us and watching it and being passionate about Wonderman. And I appreciate you taking time out, Raz, as well to join us and host this chat.
Yeah, 3 p.m. for me, so not a problem joining. But it's the time zone. It's suitable for me to be here anytime. Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of the day and see you tomorrow in Telegram.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
See ya. Bye.